Welcome to
Another Round Podcast,
a safe space for healing, laughter, and love.
We are here to uplift, motivate, and inspire all of our listeners by sharing so many of our life experiences as mothers, wives, and best friends.
So let's cheers to another round of blessings, perseverance, opportunities,
and greatness. What's up, what's up, what's up? We are back with episode number 2. Another episode, another round.
Another round. Oh, and that's
What's
crazy
up,
that
y'all?
another round. Okay, I love that.
So welcome back to another round podcast with your girl, Janique.
And Jessica.
And this is another round of greatness, great conversations, another round of friendship, life, lessons, opportunities. Just remember that.
Yes.
So what's going on? What's been going on with you?
Well, I am ready to go see my amazing, talented little cousin perform tonight.
Zoe.
Can't wait to see her kill it on stage. You know what? These kids are, they just leave me in awe. You know, like watching Zoe on stage, watching my niece, shout out to my niece, Eden.
Yes.
Eden Lee.
Oh my gosh, she's so amazing.
Oh my gosh. And she's so amazing that now she is at NYU. Shout out to NYU. She's doing her theater thing out there. But even when I used to go and see her on stage, it gets me in awe because that's a lot of work, a lot of,
and
seeing
seeing the growth. You know, when you see, like, even with my, like, Levi with his baseball, like, starting off, when he would start off baseball, I think he started at like 4 or 5. And then as he kept going, like, he was that kid on the team where when it was bases loaded, 2 outs, and Levi had to come up to bat, and he was so horrible at batting, he's like, oh, shoot. Oh, Lord, Levi, I got to be the last batter. But now just seeing his growth and how far he has come with baseball and just seeing the kids, like, as you see them when they're little and they start off. But it goes to show when you put in the work. And as parents, because it's really the parents, you know, that pushes our kids. Like, it's those parents that you could tell the parents that put in the work with their kids, and you can see the ones that don't. And it's all, and I remember somebody saying, I think it was, what's that football player? He's a wide receiver, Amon St. Brown. He got that long ass name on the Lions. I think what did his dad say? He was like, there's no such thing as a lazy kid, but there's a such thing as a lazy parent.
He sure did.
Because these kids don't know. Like, if we don't push them, they're not going to push themselves. Like, you have to push your kids. And that's what I try to do with my kids. Like, I try to push them to be great. Because that's how that's what you have to do. And just seeing them grow. Because it kind of is like a testimony for you. Like, oh, I did that. Like, this is what I did. They're in a position they're in because as parents, we put in that work.
Our kids
I feel like that's important.
Of us.
But I will say this with these kids in this generation, since we speaking on it. I remember having a conversation with Zoe. I said, let me have a deep conversation with her because these kids and these iPads, they like to sit on the iPads all day. That's all they think about. So Zoe loves theater. And I'm like, she loves to sing. She can really sing. So I'm like, you know what? If you can sing, you love theater, you want to kind of broaden your resume. Like, you want to add something to it. So I wanted to get her into instruments. So I got her into guitar because I feel like guitar is one of those instruments. It's not easy. So I feel like if you can get guitar, like, you can pretty much get any instrument. Like, you can start off with guitar and then just move on to other instruments. So I got her into guitar. I'm paying every month, like, it's like $100 a month, which isn't bad. But I'm like, you're not practicing. Like, you can't show up to practice once a week and think you gonna get out there like Taylor Swift and play all these songs. Like, you have to.
Taylor Swift plays the guitar?
Yes. Isn't she a guitar? It's bass or guitar. She's the guitar. Because I always show Zoe, like, I'll show her Jamie Foxx. I remember seeing his documentary, which I love. And you remember his daughter came out and she played the guitar. And he said, she carries this guitar everywhere. And I'm like, Zoe, you see that? You need to be carrying this guitar everywhere. Like, you need to be playing everywhere. I'll show her Willow Smith because she plays the guitar. Haley Bailey. So I like to show her. Is it Holly or Holly, right?
It's like Holly Berry.
Yes, but Holly.
She's named after Holly Berry. Holly.
So I like to show her that as inspiration. And I'm like, Zoe, you have to put in the work. You can't just show up to practice and think you're going to know what you're doing. Because you don't, because you're not putting in the work. So then I'm like, so I'm having this deep conversation with her, and I'm like, let me tell you something. Those iPads playing Roblox all day is not going to get you anywhere in life. She says to me, well, I can be a YouTuber.
That's what's up.
I feel like that's how these kids think. And when you think about it, because you talk to so many young kids and that's what they want to do. They want to be influencers. They want to be YouTubers. But let me tell you something. You're not seeing the behind the scenes of what it takes to even get to that level. Okay, it's not overnight. I feel like these kids look at that and think it's overnight.
It is.
They look at the success, but you're not looking at, okay, go back to years ago when they were putting these videos out versus now.
I'm so different. I have a different perspective on that, but
we're going to get into it. So then, so going back to YouTubers are just influencers. And when you think about it, like, first of all, they do have to put in the time. But if you think, how many successful YouTubers are out there? Because anybody, I know, I'm going to get into that. But anybody can be a YouTuber. You can wake up tomorrow and say, I want to be a YouTuber. But that does not mean you're going to make a lot of money, and it doesn't mean success. And it doesn't mean it's going to come overnight. Like you mentioned Kai Cenat. Like, he was doing streaming years ago. But what people fail to look at is that part. They see what he's doing now and the money he's making now. And you have to realize no matter what you do, you have to put in the work. Even being a YouTuber, it's not going to come overnight. And you have to also realize that a lot of these influencers and YouTubers, they're going to put things out there to make it look like, oh, I'm making all this money, I'm doing all this. Oftentimes, it's just a facade, and it's not real.
Such a different perspective on that. It's so
crazy.
What,
like YouTubing.
I just have a different perspective on influencers, and I'm not taking away from anybody who is an influencer, and I'm not taking away from anyone who is a streamer, but I do believe that, again, it goes back to, this is just my opinion. I'm not knocking anyone that does that, so let me put that disclaimer out there. We do live in a world of instant gratification.
Oh, yes.
And so streaming and influencing is instant gratification. Like, it's fast money, it's easy money. It's just like, and I'm not saying it's easy, because putting together content,
the time. Yeah, the content,
being creative,
yes,
like that all takes time. That all takes, you have to have the personality where people want to
yes. And let me tell you something. I will say this. I'm gonna let you finish, but even editing all that stuff,
all of that stuff
takes
is
a lot.
It's a lot
of time.
So let me put that aside of saying that it is a lot of work. It's not easy. Nothing comes easy.
Right.
I also, my husband was showing me this video, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not here to like be that, but he showed me this video of like the streaming world, because I know, like, I don't know if you watched what's going on with the DJ Academics thing of him talking very inappropriate with a 15-year-old child. And so I've been really, really on that
Shade
story.
Room.
Y'all,
where's that post at?
We ain't gonna get on that.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna get on that. But I put that. I did put up a post about the Shade Room not posting anything, and it got a lot of attraction. But I say that all to say that, to me, I look at these streamers as the same thing that some of these industry people have to do to get into this world. I feel like sometimes you have to sell your soul.
Yes.
You sell your soul to get, into this
That's
big.
True.
You get into this big, because streaming is still the industry. Because right now streaming is what is in. It's not
right.
You can, like right now TikTok is what's big, and so people go to TikTok to like listen to songs. So some artists can blow up just off of TikTok. You see Leangelo Ball or whatever his song.
Oh my God. If I hear that damn song one more damn time.
But that song is just an example of like, really,
it's an example of real talent does not exist anymore. And it's like you can put out any damn, if you got a good hook,
okay,
that's it. Okay,
so I'm not gonna say he's not talented, because I don't want to take anything away from him. But what I can say is that it goes to show how easy one song or something that you do can go viral and get picked up and get attraction, and you can blow up in that one moment, and you have to keep that moment. I look at the same thing with streamers. I do believe that, of course, you have to build your audience, you have to get people to tune in, but once you get to that level of having all these streamers, you can be someone like an academics who says anything on their platform, on their platform.
Be mindful of that.
What to me, what I don't like about that, excuse me, is our kids, they want to be the Kai Cenats and they want to be all these streamers because it's easy. Because all I got to do is get in front of a camera. That's what they're thinking.
But here's the thing: you think it's easy, but it's not really easy. Like I feel like it's a lot of work. I'm not saying you're saying it, but these kids look at it and think it's easy because they just see the success.
Yes,
you don't see like it's years of work that I put in.
It's scary because now we are living in a world where kids don't want to work.
No,
they don't want to go.
They want to be
influencers.
They want to be
influencers. They want to be YouTubers. They want to try to get instant gratification,
because it's
money.
what they see online. They see the fancy cars. They see, oh, you're living in this mansion. You're making all this money, and
you got all these followers,
right? And they see that, and it's like, that's what I want. And like you said, oftentimes you do sell your soul. You become somebody that you're not because you feel like this is what's going to get attention. This is what is going to open doors for me because I'm bringing this drama, or I'm acting a certain way, saying these things. Right. And a lot of times you do lose yourself. You lose yourself in that industry.
The great thing I can say is what I've learned about this whole DJ Academics things is that, you know, first of all, this man has said the most outrageous things, and I know we're probably going off track and derailing a little bit, but you know, I'm just saying this because I want to protect our kids of like what this industry looks like. It's a very bad, it's a very evil, dark, a very dark industry. And so this man has made a living of sitting in his basement, and he has pretty much, he has riled up a lot of beef. He has monetized off of people's struggle, people's, you know, like people getting killed, rappers who have, you know, I think they were making a comparison of like 21 Savage when, it was a J. Cole interview.
He did a J. Cole interview with Academics?
No, hell no.
I'm about to say,
J. Cole had an interview with Angie Martinez, and he talked about how he pulled up on Academics because, was it J. Cole? I'm if I said this wrong, I'm sorry. But there was something that was stated that Academics was mad that 21 Savage started to talk about, Nipsey Hussle. I'm so sorry. I'm everywhere, y'all. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay, it was Nipsey Hussle. When Nipsey Hussle was alive, he was on Tariq Nasheed. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. I love Tariq Nasheed. He was on Tariq Nasheed's podcast at the time, and he talked about how, you know, like these streamers and people like that are dangerous for our culture because they have the ability to get on a platform and spew this rhetoric that is like completely the opposite of what we need to hear. So he talked about how 21 Savage started to talk about like getting into like, I believe it was like buying real estate and putting into more real estate and stuff. And
can we get more of that? Like, can we
but
get
this
more?
Is the thing. This is the sad part is because what Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, was saying was that Academics got on his platform and said, I don't want to fucking hear about you talking about real estate. I want to hear you about killing and talking about bitches and fucking bitches and all this stuff. He was spewing that on his platform. Right. So what he has is like kids like ours who tune into this type of stuff, and they think that is what's going to get you famous. Right. Is if I go on there and I get a viral moment, I get this viral moment, I could spew this hate or whatever it is, I'm going to get more people clickbaiting because all I got to do is get a repost and that person reposts and it gets attraction.
But so unfortunately, it's not just DJ Academics. It's even just the music industry. Like that's what they play on the radios. I always talk about this. Like even when you listen to the radio, they're going to only put out a specific type of genre of music when it comes. I'm just talking about black because we're black women and just black people in general. Like when you listen to what they play on the radio when it comes to our music, that's what they put out there. That's what sells. And at the end of the day, we don't understand how much media can control our minds, especially when you're young and you're young. You're not thinking about like us as grown women. We know better, but a lot of these kids that listen to this music or listen to the radio, they don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely influences them. And when you're constantly hearing that on the radio about killing and gang banging or whatever the case, whatever sex, and it's like that it controls what these kids want to listen to, what they like. So it's not just DJ Academics, but for him to have the platform that he has and to put that out there. Because I understand artists, they always say we're not role models. And I get that because they're not. You're not a role model. The parents are it's our responsibility as parents
Absolutely.
to be that role model. Absolutely. But you do have kids out there that don't have that, and they look up to those artists.
Absolutely.
And it's just, you want to be mindful of the things that you say. It's one thing to do it in your music, because it's music, it's art. But to go and like have a podcast or stream and you're saying these things, and that it's a little different.
And that's why I go back to say, like, is it really? Because artists are artists. They're
right. It's art. It's art.
Streaming and talking,
that's what I'm saying. Right.
Hate is not art. You know, it's
that's
just
how you feel.
That's an opinion, and sometimes it's not even your true opinion. It's just the opinion that you want to get the attraction,
to get that reaction,
to get the reaction of others, so that you know that people are going to retweet, people are going to click. It's clickbait, and I say, and I do use DJ Academics as an example, because as you see of what he's going through right now.
Is he getting a lot of backlash for that?
Twitch has banned him. Okay. His biggest sponsor, which was Steak, has decided to unfollow him and kind of cut ties with him.
Right. Yes.
So it goes to show the power of us as a people and as a culture.
And bringing awareness to that.
And bringing awareness. We have the ability to stop this cancer.
Right.
Because it's a cancer. It's a cancer that is spreading throughout our community.
Yes.
And we have the power to stop it. But we just have to, it's sad because.
And stop letting these celebrities and streamers get away with stuff like that.
Especially like, I feel like the power to get away, get rid of someone like a DJ Academics, who had a huge platform. Yeah. This man got up on there, and of course I'm biased because I am a big Kendrick Lamar fan, but this man got up on there and literally laughed and said that Kendrick Lamar's aunt was touching him, which that wasn't the case. But he went on there to say that, putting out this false information because of because it was the attraction at the time. You're on a.
That's what I can't stand. Like, I cannot stand when somebody gets online and feel like, since you just trying to get clickbait. Like, you just want somebody to click on your shit. So you come up with these lies, and it's just disgusting. Like,
this is also
I cannot stand a troll. Like, I just can, especially if you're not being authentic. Mm-hmm. You're just doing everything because you feel like it's like you need validation from people that you don't even know, like from strangers. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I'm just the type of person. I pray, like, no matter where I am in life, that I always remain humble and always remain myself, because I don't want to get to the point where I lose myself.
Yeah.
Like, you lose yourself in that because you're so worried about clicks and you're so worried about likes and comments and things like that, that you're willing to do any and everything, and you're willing to degrade yourself and who you are because of strangers. Oh, I want this person to like this, or I want this comment. And in the end, you're only damaging yourself. Like, it's not going to help you in no shape or form, because that is going to catch up to you, especially when you're not being authentic, you're not being yourself, and you're being hateful. Well, like, I cannot stand trolls.
I know. And what is also interesting is that we are talking about Zoe, and how Zoe said, I can go on YouTube. Just being transparent, because I think that this is what this podcast is about. About transparency. Mm-hmm. Like, as of recently, my son's academics has declined. His academics in school has declined. Mm-hmm. And so, anybody that knows me, they know when it comes to my babies, I don't play. Like, when it comes to their academics, I don't play. I push them to their fullest potential. But as of lately, my son, and this has been happening for the last year and a half, that he's been struggling. And so just recently I went to his school because he needed an interview he needed a meeting with just like a team, because they noticed that his progress is kind of like declining when it comes to his academics. And so we sat down, and literally the meeting hadn't even started, but they started to talk about what the meeting was about, and I just started crying. And I told them, because they were like, how do you feel, Mrs. Terrell? And I told them, excuse me for crying. And I got so emotional, and I was crying like a baby. Like, I said, excuse me if I cried during this meeting, but it's because I love my son so much. He means so much to me. And I know that whatever is about to happen, or it's a reflection of myself. Yeah, yes. So I'm going to question
like you're
myself.
Yourself. Yes, you're questioning.
So they're like, of course they try to reassure me, like, this has nothing to do with you as a parent. Like, he is an amazing boy. He has a great behavior. You have taught him well. He's well-mannered, whatever. But, I started to question myself as a mother because, of course, I have crazy schedule, and sometimes I don't have the time to work with him with his homework. Right. And so, just like Zoe, he's very much into his iPad, and he's very much into like wanting to be in his. He's on the phone. He's on his iPad with his friends all day, all weekend. I haven't put much effort into his schoolwork, and so I blame myself for that. But it's crazy how he's so quick to try to show me like a Kai Cenat clip where he's showing me a clip on YouTube about, whatever it is. He's just like, Mom, look at this. And it just goes to show how this streaming world has affected our kids.
It does.
But again, it goes back to what you said. It's not their job to be our kids' role model. It's our job as parents to make sure that we are monitoring the amount of time that they're spending on these and what are they looking at or what is going on. Like, that's the more thing.
Because I had to do that because my kids were on the iPad a lot. And I was like, you know what, during school weeks, like when you're in school, no iPads, because Levi, my son, will get to the point where he start crying when you take his iPad. And I'm like, no, like that has to end. I mean, it is a bit much. But as a parents, we do the best we can. And that's all we can do. Because I understand, because I feel like that. Because I work, and you come home and a lot of times you feel like you wish you had more time to really pour into their schoolwork or whatever they got. Because like Zoe I told you she had a project it was like a agricultural project, and one of Zoe's friends, I love her, one of her friends' mom, like she's like their classroom parent. And she was just like, they have a project coming up. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So I looked at the project and I'm like, okay. I don't know why in my mind I thought it was like in the middle of February. So I'm like, okay, I got time. I see her maybe a week later and I'm like, oh, have you started on the project? She was like, it was due today. And I'm like, what project was due today? Like, I'm so off with their school stuff. So I get it, because sometimes I do blame myself. Like, I need to be more involved in what's going on. But oftentimes when you have so much going on in your life, it does get a little overwhelming, and I used to even like going to their school and they have like different things at the school and I'm not able to go. Sometimes I feel bad about it. But at the end of the day, like, we have to go to work. I have to provide for y'all. Like, you're doing your best and that's all you can do.
And I try to tell myself that.
You're doing what you can.
That. But I get on my husband. I'm like, you know what? We are bad parents. And I tell him now, I'm like, straight up, we bad parents.
Look, ain't no good parents. We all to them. Listen, ain't no perfect parent.
I'm like,
okay,
our son is struggling, and we are not taking it serious. We got to do more. And so I did recently
get him into some. Because I said I need to get Zoe tutoring, because oftentimes I will say this. Sometimes we don't even know what, like, some of that work that they're doing.
I can't do it. I can't.
Especially when you come home from work, you already had a stressful day, and then I got to sit over here and do this work. And then her math work, there's no examples. Girl, I'll be having to go to Google. So I go to Google looking up her. And then, but let me tell you about that. So then I went to Google. I'm like, let me see the answer to this problem. So I'm trying to explain, because I'm good with examples, because nowadays I feel like with their homework, they'll just have stuff, and I'm like, they have algebra. Algebra are steps. So it's like, if you don't have examples for me, I'm not going to know like what step to take. So I'll go to Google. So Zoe kind of saw me doing that. So one day she came home with her homework and it was all right. I was like, okay, Zoe, you did good. And I looked at her because I knew she went to Google. She was like, I did go to Google. I said, look, Zoe, I know I go to Google because I'm trying to figure out how to do it so I can explain it. But you can't do that, because when you go to school and take this test, now you're going to fail because you went to Google getting these answers and you really don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain, even though like we can look at their schoolwork and we know how to do it, it's just hard to explain it to them to where they get it. Yes. Like when I do her math,
my gosh,
I'll do it and I'm like, this is how you do it. And then they don't get it, but I don't know how to explain it. And then I get mad at them. Like, girl,
that is what they remember. I went back on our last episode and I talked about patience. That's what God has taught me, because when I tell you, me and my husband have no patience when it comes to Carson. I be feeling so bad. I feel bad for him, and I don't be noticing it. I don't notice it when I do it, but then I see my husband help him.
You gotta see somebody else do it.
And I be like, calm down. What are you yelling at him for? But in the whole sense, he's like, you yell at me just like this. Like, what are you talking about? But that's how bad it is, because so I had to understand that, okay, if I can go buy myself some I love shoes. So if I can go buy myself some $100 shoes, I can put that money towards getting my baby a tutor.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there's probably tutors out there that's doing it for free, but you know what? I'm going to put the time. If I can invest into my, whatever
and guess
it
what?
is.
You not only investing in his tutoring and, what he needs help in as far as math, English, whatever he needs help, but it's also refreshing for you. It's good for you because you don't have to stress yourself out about,
Absolutely.
Okay, I got to come home. I got to figure out how to do this damn work after I done had a long day at work. Yep. So it's also benefiting you as well.
And I told my husband, I said, we're going to pay the money. I don't care. We found a tutor. She actually had her first session with him last week. And
that's good, yeah.
It was cool. The only thing is it's online, and I wasn't really feeling the online when she said it, but she did it with him, and I talked to him. I said, how did you like it? And she's nice, exactly.
Let me say, if they can get on there looking at Kai Sanat, you can get your butt on there looking at that tutor for an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we did. I'm just willing to put the money in, and it's damn near like $200.
Tutors are very expensive.
$250 a month, but I'm gonna pay that $250 a month because my baby I refuse to watch my baby's academic abilities decline because of the fact that I didn't put the work in as a parent or do. At least I can say I did everything I was supposed to do or could do to help him. And he's going to have to take that step on his own. And I always think about it like when I first got with my husband and my stepson, I'll never forget this. We talking about transparency here. Mm-hmm. When my stepson, before we even moved into the house, I think we had just moved into the house. I remember my stepson, he graduated from elementary, and we was there. I remember I left work and all that other stuff, and we left work. He graduated. We had balloons and everything for him, and at the end they give you a report card, like just to kind of see how everything was, and so we got the report card. My husband opened it. That report card had all D's on it. D the entire time, and I just remember
put some D's on it.
It was D on top of D on top of D on top of D, and I was like, and so me going into this role as a mother to a new child, because we had just bought our house and we were all kind of blending together. We're trying to get this thing together. One thing I never played about was academics. So I just remember seeing the defeat in my husband's face, just like. I remember we had went to like lunch after, and he just was so quiet. He shut down. He just felt so like you could just see the defeat in his eyes as a parent.
Yes,
because he was at that time before.
You question yourself, like, what is it that I'm not doing?
What did
right?
I not do?
What did I not do?
This is a whole school year of like now I'm starting to see. So I just remember seeing the defeat in his eyes. I just remember he was so disappointed. He was so just upset. He was upset. And so as a parent, I stepped up and I said, okay, I'm going to, I stepped up.
Were you guys married at the time?
We weren't married. Oh, okay. We were not married, but we did buy a house. Mm-hmm. So we were all like in the house. And I'm like, well, he is my responsibility now. Right. We're in this house together. I am taking on the role.
And see, that's the power of a great partner. Oh, okay.
Say it.
How somebody can come in your life and change things for the better. Like just, you need that, your other half, your better half.
Say that,
and because you work together. Like we got to work together.
You are not lying, because that's exactly what I did. I stepped up. I got him into summer school. I found a summer school for him. I got him a summer school. He he ended up going to middle school. I got him into middle school. I got him into one of the best middle schools ever. One of the best middle schools around our area. I did everything I had to do to get him there because I had to do a whole interdistrict transfer. Got him into that middle school. And when I say my son excelled from that point on, and then he went into high school, he excelled. And then he's at Fresno State.
Right.
He is at Fresno State. He's at a good college. He's in his second year. He's doing amazing there.
But I will say this. I give you guys credit because oftentimes when situations like that happen, for some people, it's just like defeat. It's like, okay, this is happening and you just don't really, it's just like, okay. But you did something about it.
I did something
You know what I'm saying?
about
Like
it.
you guys had to step back and say, okay, let's reevaluate us as parents. Like, what do we need to do so that our kids can be successful? So our kids can,
absolutely,
you know, succeed in their academics.
Absolutely,
that's the step. Like and that's where accountability. I talk about that. Taking accountability, like as parents, like okay. Don't sit here and come down on yourself too much, because that's what I'm teaching myself. Like, yes, you're going to have hard times, and yes, you're going to come down on yourself, or you're going to, you know, but don't dwell in that. Now it's time to say, okay, you know what? I didn't do this right. Don't beat yourself up too much, because at the end of the day, what can I do now? Well, how can I get better? Like, what can we do to better the situation?
There's no log on, there's no parent guide of how to be a parent. You just kind of had to, you know, some people do the best they can as parents. I'm talking about they give their kids the world. They give them the best schools. They do all this, and their kids end up struggling with the substance, you know, some way, somehow. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. All you could do is your best. Yes. Like you just said, do your best, and so that you can say that when they decide to be adults, they're going to go do what they want to do. That's not a reflection of you, right? Who you are.
You did what you had to do as a parent. As long as you're doing your best and doing what you can as a parent, they're going to go on their own path. They're going to go on their own journey.
I'm struggling with that now. You know, both of us. If we talking about parenting right now, we both struggling with our oldest.
Because we have grown.
I got a 23-year-old. You got a 20-year-old.
20.
I have a 23-year-old. She has a 20-year-old. So, and I love my daughter to death. But my daughter, transparency, and I will tell her that I'm saying this openly, that she has been struggling. She has been struggling mentally. Yeah. She has been struggling financially, and it has taken a toll on me, because no parent wants to see their child struggle. Right. Especially when you have given them the world and you have put them in places where they should be financially, you know, financially literate right now. Right. But right now it never clicked. And it that goes with experience, because unfortunately, like I tell my daughter, I didn't get the opportunity to be financially educated. Like I watched my mom kind of just blow money and not make the best decisions. And so when it got to me to go out in the world, I made the horrible decisions. And it wasn't until I got into my 30s that I decided to get it together. Right. But what
sometimes that's what it takes. Like because like we both got grown adults, and I got to the point where I'm like, you have to learn on your own. I can't. Like you said, we do everything we can when they're younger and they're minors, and you know, we do what we can as parents. But when they become adults, it's like they have to figure those things out on their own, because you can tell them until you're blue in the face, okay, you need to do this. They're not going to listen because they don't understand. They're going to understand it once they go through it,
and they don't want to listen.
They don't want to.
When I tell you, I talk to my daughter because I feel like I'm a therapist. I'm not her therapist. And I always have to remind her, because she always be like, you don't know how to talk to me. How can you be a therapist and you don't know how to talk to me? First of all, I'm not your therapist. Right. So let's get that straight. I'm still your mother. Exactly. So don't put me in the role of being a therapist, because I'm not your therapist.
I'm not talking to you as a therapist either. I'm talking to you as your mother.
Exactly. Right. So we have to separate that first. So, but just the other day I had a conversation with my daughter, and my daughter shuts down. She struggles with depression. She struggles with anxiety. She's a very, very anxious person. I'm anxious too, but she's like anxious on 10. And so I've noticed that the way that I communicate with her, she shuts down, which is hard for you as a parent when that happens, because then you start to create your own narratives of what's going on in their head. And you can't do that, because we all know that that's not possible. You can't read anyone's mind. Right. So I start to say, in my head, I'm thinking, she's doing this, that, and that. And I'm starting to put all these things in my head that I start to just lash out at her. And so the other day, it was a conversation that we had. I found out something that happened that I was very disappointed about. And so I had a conversation with her, and I just remember me telling her, like, I do not know what else to do. There's nothing else I can do. Like, you're going to have to leave. And I don't want to be, I always told myself I never want to be that parent that kicks their kids out. I always wanted my daughter to stay in my house, stay in my home until she saved up her money to buy her own home. Right. And so, like, kind of what Auntie Debbie did for you.
Yeah, she did. Had that I was blessed to have that.
That was a blessing. Yeah. And I saw you do that. And that's all something that I always wanted. So I just.
But you got to want it as well.
You got to want it. And you got to strive and push to do it.
Because the thing is, oftentimes, and I even tell my mom this, because she got how old is my brother? 40 something. She still enables him. And I'm like, you got to know the difference between enabling and helping, because there's a big difference. Like, I'm going to help you when I see you're out here really trying to do it and you're putting in the work, but you need a little help. Versus I'm going to do everything for you. I'm going to hold your hand and I'm going to pay this and I'm going to pay that and I'm going to pay this while you kick your feet up.
Gotten to that point.
While you kick your feet up, like, no, I'm not going to enable you. I'm going to help you if I see you're trying. But when you start enabling them, what are they going to do? They're going to kick their feet up. They're not going to want to work for anything because they're going to feel like, oh, you're doing it for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you're paying this, so why should I go out and work? Why should I go out and do whatever because you're paying this for me?
You're doing everything.
And
that's
for
why
me.
I had to. That's why I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? At this point, you know, you're just going to have to find somewhere else to go, because at this point, I'm enabling you to fail. And that is one of the worst things you want to do as a parent, is enable your child to fail. You want to help them, but you don't want to enable them to fail. So my daughter is she don't say nothing. She shuts down. But at this moment, she let me say what she had to say. And when I tell you, I listened. And I didn't, you know, I said, we listen and we don't judge.
Yes. I love that, because let me tell you something. Back in the day, our parents back in the day, it was what I say goes and that's it. I don't give a damn about your feelings. But I feel like it is a little different today.
I love that we listen and we don't judge, because at that moment, I listened to her. I didn't care what came out of her mouth. I told her, I said, baby, I need, like, what is it? And when I tell you, this is the first time in the 23 years that my daughter has been on this earth that she literally spewed everything that was going on in her life, to the point where, you know, as a mom, I'm not an older mom. Like, I'm a very aware mom, because the experience.
We're not older moms, but we grew up in a generation where
a different generation,
like it's kind of old school,
but
a little bit.
I want to say that I'm not the mom that. I think that our experiences help us to navigate this whole parenting thing, because we went through certain stuff. Right. So we know our kids are probably going through the same thing.
Parents and things that we learned from our parents and how they
all experience. Yeah. And so she just literally told me everything that was going on with her. And I was blown away, hurt at times, because my daughter.
Let me ask you this: does she usually come at you, or was this like the first time? Like, some of the stuff that you guys, you don't have to say what you guys actually said, but was this the first time you heard a lot of the stuff that she said,
or do you feel like I'm talking about?
Because these teenagers will hold a lot. They will not tell us.
My daughter has been holding a lot in, and she was telling me about some real struggles that I was like, I figured, I kind of course, again, experiences. But I didn't know. Yeah. And so it really made me, it made me, like, I had to sit back as a, like, in that moment, I listened to everything she said. And the things that she was saying, it was like, one of the things that she said, and I'm going to be transparent, is that she said, I believe God has put me in a place of isolation. He has isolated me to be by myself at this moment, because of, she told me all the things that she had gone through and where she was at that moment. And I just sat there and I said, you know what? I appreciate you. Yeah. Because this is the first time I can honestly say, as your mom, that I can relate to what you're saying. I've been there. And then I started to tell her my story of the things back in the days that I went through and the struggles that I went through. And I said, you have to stumble. You have to fall. Yes. You have to stumble. You have to fall in order for you to for God to put you in a place of isolation. Yes. And so when she told me that, I was like, she needs to go through this. It's not going to take me to, like, try to I told her, you're going to have to go through this, but you have to understand that God is putting you through this for a reason. So take what he's doing seriously, because you done had all these chances and you don't want to lose these chances. So I say that all to say that, you know, even having older children, like, you have to allow them to.
You have to allow them to grow. Like, you have to allow them to go through their experiences. You can't hold their hands. Like we had to learn. Like, that's why I say, being 40, you learn so much, and I don't have any regrets, because everything you go through in life is a lesson. And even with your kids, like, as they become adults, like, you can't hold their hand. They're going to have to struggle. They're going to, like, my son is living, Renell lives with me. Like, my son is living with me right now. Him and his dad had their differences. But I tell them, you're going to have to work. Like, I'm not going to, you need car insurance. You're going to have to pay for your own car insurance. Like, I'm not holding your hand, because at the end of the day, when you get out there in the real world, you're going to have to pay more than car insurance. You're going to have to pay more than groceries. Because I remember at one point when he came to live with us back in the day, he was complaining about $70 worth of groceries. I said, you know what, I'm going to just let you go pay for the groceries. Because you can't even get eggs with 70. You see how expensive them damn eggs are?
Listen,
I wanted
$13 for some eggs. You got
$32 for like the big case of eggs. I said they must be out their mind. But I'm just like, you know, they got it good. I feel like, you know, because I look back at how I grew up. I was blessed to have parents that allowed me to stay in their home until I was, I want to say 26, 27, around that time. But I said in my mind, I said, since my parents are allowing me to stay in their home, I'm going to do everything I can to save up my money. You know, because I remember at one point I did want to get an apartment, because I'm like, I don't have no privacy. If you know my mom, she always in my business.
She knew it all. Lord.
I couldn't bring nobody over without my mom coming downstairs talking their ears off. So I said, let me get my own apartment. So I remember looking for apartments, and then Deshante, shout out Deshante, I talked about this before, but she had just bought her a condo. And I was like, you know what, why don't I save money? Because I'm blessed enough to where my parents weren't saying, okay, you got to go, Janique. You know, so I'm just like, let me save my money and take advantage of that and save my money so that way I can get a home and purchase my own condo. So I do feel like, you know, like I said, but everybody's different. Everybody's not going to think like that, because I even tell my son, I try to get him to understand that. Like, look, you have your mom, you have your dad. We're willing to help you. But start saving your money, because he was working his job before he left his dad's house, and he come over here with nothing. And I'm like, well, where did that damn money? You've been working how many years, and where's this money? You know. But I also have to remind myself that I was a teenager once. I didn't save when I was 20 years old. I wanted the latest shoes and all this stuff, because back in those days, like once I became an adult, my parents was like, okay, you can stay in our house, but the things you like, these clothes and everything you want, all that stuff, you're going to have to pay for it, or you're going to have to do certain things for yourself. So I get that. So I'm still trying to teach him, like, you want to put money aside, because you never know. Even at 20, even like, I'm trying to tell him to get life insurance. Like, you're working. You know how much life insurance is for you at 20 years old? I feel
cheap
like
as I don't know what.
Cheap. I'm like, you'll probably pay $20. Because you never want to get to the point where you're 50 or 60 and you're trying to get life insurance, but you have all these health problems. Like, it's like little things like that that we try to teach them. But at the end of the day, all we can do is try to instill that in them. Like, just talk about. They have to
take they have to take the baton and do what they do with it. They have to either run forward, or they have to just keep tripping. So,
but you gotta let them. You gotta let them fail,
and
they have to fail in order to succeed. Like, they have to go through that.
That's what I had to learn when my daughter just broke everything down to me. Is like, she has to go through this. She has to hit rock bottom.
But what I love is y'all communication. Like, I feel like that is so important.
That was
today.
That was
because, like I said, like, a lot of parents would just shut their kids out, or you have some parents, because you feel like you're older, you know this, and I know that I'm right, you're wrong. What's that, Matilda? I'm right, you're wrong. You're big, I'm big, you're little.
Yeah.
Like, it's like some parents think like that, where I'm older, I've been through this, so you need to listen to me, and what I'm saying is right. But we have to listen to our kids.
I used to absolutely believe that. But when then as she was explaining everything that she was saying to me, you could tell that it was very genuine from the heart. She kept saying, like, I know you don't believe me, and I know you don't think I'm telling the truth, or I know you don't. And I was like, dang, I've come to this point of, as a mother, that everything that I say, that she doesn't even believe that I believe her. So it was just like, dang, it was even a reflection. I had to sit back and be like, okay, I need to do better at, like, listening, because I need to listen and not judge.
Right,
and at that moment, I listened and I didn't judge. And I told her I appreciated everything that she said. I told her I'm going to be here for her. There's only so much I can do.
Right.
And I started to break down all the things that she hasn't done, or all the things that she needs to do. But at the same time, as long as you continue to be honest, transparent with me, then we can work through this. But if you are not,
if you're hiding things, and you're not opening up, I feel like that is important. Open up. Tell me what's going on, because I know, like, I can be tough on my kids. I'm gonna speak for myself. I know I can be tough on my kids. I get on them. But at the same time, still come to me and communicate. Like, you can still come to me and talk to me and we can have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Because I'd rather you hear from me, and I try to give the best advice I can give, because we've been through it, versus you going out there and listening to people that really don't know what they're talking about, or listening to kids, or listening to your friends. And, you know, so I do try to make it easy for my kids to come and communicate with me. But it is difficult, because as parents, you know, they're looking at it like, you're my mom, I don't want to talk about certain things. I always ask Renell, like, who you dating? Who you talking to? And he act like he don't want to tell me.
Same thing with
I'm
my
like,
daughter.
you can talk to me about it.
So I say that all to say there is no guidebook in this parenting thing that we do.
Right.
But what I can say is we're doing the best that we can. I won't give ourselves grace.
We do. You know, there's no book. There, you can probably buy a book on parenting, but at the end of the day, you can read about it.
It's a different experience.
But it's a different experience in your household, because everybody's situation is different, and you just got to do the best that you can do as a parent, as a mother, as a father, and just that's all you can do. That's all you can ask for. And like you said, give yourself grace and just give yourself a pat on the back, because it's not easy.
It's not easy
as well.
It's
not easy.
So let's get our question for today.
Oh yes. Okay. Let's see what question.
What question?
Okay. How do you deal with life when you are mentally struggling? How do I deal with it? I will say this. I went through like a depression moment where I feel like I was, you know, what's so difficult sometimes about depression is that when you're going through something, sometimes you don't have the answer. Like I could be sad and not even know why I'm sad. Like, I'm just like, why am I like this? I know part of that was I was in a place in my life, I'm just trying to figure out life, like trying to figure out where I want to be. Like, I'm not happy career-wise. As far as like life at home, husband, kids, blessed, but then just a reflection on myself, like just trying to figure out, Janae, what it is that you want in life. Like, what are you doing for yourself? And I isolated. Like, when I'm going through something, I don't like to talk to anybody. Like, I don't like to, you know, my husband kind of knew, because I'll come home every day with a drink in my hand. Like, I have wine or, you know, have a drink to kind of, and the thing about that is you think that this is like, it's like a coping mechanism where it's like, okay, let me drink. But then when that goes away, you still have to deal with life. You still have to deal with what you're going through in that moment. But I know for me, when I'm like mentally struggling, I do shut down, and I don't really, I'm very, especially prior to doing this podcast, I was very like private. Like, if I'm going through something, like if I'm sad, you won't know it. Like, I can go out with friends and I'm happy, but I'll come home and I'm really sad. But I also don't like to express those emotions when I'm out, because I don't want that to reflect on whoever I'm around. Like, I don't want to bring that energy to whatever space I'm in. But I do feel like I would shut down, because I'm always that person where I will say you show a lot of emotion. Like, I will say Jessica is an emotional person. I'm the opposite. And I think that has a lot to do with, and I've kind of talked about this before, where having siblings, like, I wasn't close to my siblings. Like, we weren't close. And everything that we did, like, we talked so bad about each other. And if we knew, like, the other person's weakness, we'll feed off of that. So we weren't really that close as kids. So I feel like that's why I'm so guarded with my feelings, is that I feel like I don't want somebody to use what I'm going through against me. So I'm going to shut down and not really, whatever I'm going through, I'm not going to really express it. But I'm learning to be more open. And I even told myself I need to go back to therapy, because I was going to therapy for a second. And then I stopped. But I do want to get back to that, just because I do feel like it's a safe place to really express those emotions, especially because sometimes when you talk to friends and family, like, I think it's healthy and it's good. But at the same time, you also, in the back of your mind, you still feel like, am I being judged? Right. Even if it's somebody you close to, like, you know, so it's kind of hard to express those emotions. But I'm getting better at just kind of being,
and how are you dealing with that for,
like, mentally, my struggle?
How do you deal with it? So you say you go to therapy?
Well, I want to start going back to therapy.
Okay.
I will say I'm in a way better space.
Okay, good.
Than where I was before. Because like I told myself, I don't want to dwell on those things anymore. Absolutely. Like, I don't, because I feel like when you sit in it, it just stays. Yeah. You know, so I will say what helped me was opening up about it. I think I talked to you about it. I was talking to a therapist. I talked to my husband. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing
I
at
know
your
Thomas
husband.
is up there.
I'm laughing at your husband. Yeah, I do.
We got a house full of people, y'all. So y'all hear some noise. That's why.
Yeah, just to be really quick and transparent, I think when I'm mentally struggling, I definitely use a lot of self-care.
Yes.
I'm trying to, I make sure that I'm aware of my mental struggle. I talk to someone about it. Of course, therapy is a big thing. I haven't been to therapy, but I'm going to go back to therapy. That has a lot to do with my job.
I just want to say, you made a good point. I think the most important is acknowledging it. Because a lot of times you go through something and you don't acknowledge, like,
that's the first point of anything. Like, you have to admit to yourself what is going on, because if we are in denial, then of course denial is like suppression. Like, you're suppressing so much inside. You're not being real with yourself. You're just like living in this facade of like an unrealistic world.
Right.
And so I think with me, there's been times where I've mentally struggled. There's been times where I've cried. But I just make sure that I'm always crying. Whatever emotion I'm feeling, if I need to scream, if I need to yell, whatever it is, I get it out, because suppressing.
And that goes for men and women. Okay? Everyone.
Knowing that suppressing emotions is the most unhealthy thing that you can ever do. So making sure that I'm getting these emotions out, whether I'm talking to my friends, whether I'm talking to someone, I'm making sure that I'm doing as much self-care as I can, making sure that I'm like, taking care of myself.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like, going to the gym.
Yes.
Whatever mental stimulation that I need to help me, I try to do that. So when I'm mentally struggling, I just try to make sure that I'm always keeping myself.
I think that's the most important. Like, especially when you're going through something, you got to kind of sit back and figure out what it is that's going to make you happy. Because oftentimes when you are going through something, I know for me, I'm like, you're always thinking about other people. Like, you got your kids and you don't take time for yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone needs that. Like, everyone needs that time where they can just get away and do the things that you love.
Yeah.
Like you said, if it's working out, if that helps you, because it helps me mentally, physically, everything. Like, so doing the things that you love and taking time out for yourself. I think self-care is so important. And I want to get more deep into that, because I feel like it's really important for everyone to have time for yourself.
Yeah, so again, we appreciate you guys for tuning
in.
You gotta wrap it up. Talking about parenthood, just talking about self-care, talking about mental struggle. These are things that are important, and hopefully that you guys can relate to, and you guys can, give us some feedback. Again, these are just our personal experiences, but we are not taking away from anyone else's. So just know that we love you, we appreciate you, and we hope you continue to tune in to us.
Tune in to Another Round podcast with Janique and
Jessica.
Yes, cheers to that. Bye, y'all. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to Another Round podcast. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday for new episodes.